Chapter 360, The Sky That Gathers Screams, 2. I diligently explained why, "Hi, nice to meet ya," is not the latest form of greeting. So, I had a time explaining to the tower's master about, "Hi, nice to meet ya," and neither I nor the tower master knew that such a time would come in my life. Anyway, nobody knows. Who could know? I knew, Death King. Did you think I did it because I didn't know? It was a joke thrown out of consideration, thinking you might be nervous. Ahaha. It was really, truly a super high-quality nice joke, Department Head Nim. I'm not the Department Head Nim, but the Tower Master. Another Korean joke when someone makes an unfunny joke is used similar to okay, boomer. Then, narrowing her eyes, the Tower Master said, "Since an objection has been raised, it must be addressed." Her violet eyes glanced over me and the wizard. "Death King and the Wand of Ages, please step forward." The wizard walked forward, holding the staff in front of me. In the grand conference hall, where the king used to sit and look over the assembly. The throne. The Tower Master was sitting at the bottom of the chair's legs, lightly leaning her head against the armrest of the throne. And the Wand of Ages and I were facing each other with the throne between us. The proposer is the sky that gathers screams. The agenda is the no confidence in the Wand of Ages. Is this correct? Yes, it is. I nodded. Holding her chin, the Tower Master hummed. Not a objection or a proposal, but a no confidence vote. A smile like an inverted crescent moon was drawn on her lips. Very well, the Tower Master said in a cheerful tone. Before I could hesitate, the Tower Master's words continued. First, the pillars should not take this situation unpleasantly. Looking around at the pillars, the Tower Master continued. I know there are many here who do not favor the Death King. The pillars remained silent, but the Tower Master continued as if she knew their inner thoughts well. Arrogant. Proud. To dares challenge the pillars' work when you're just a mere newborn constellation that has stepped a boot onto the sky. Moreover, a vote of no confidence. I've disliked it since he started playing with the rules. We praised him as good, and he finally crosses the line. Even now, when I could understand the voices, the Tower Master's words sounded like the hissing of a snake. We have placed limitations on what we do. Even though we have the power to do as we wish, we are restraining ourselves. That alone should be considered a grace from us. Not knowing that. Impudent. Taking care of your unrelated world, and even creating conditions for you to shine, Death King. Is this how you repay us? The pillars did not move. There was not a single movement in their facial muscles. However, the Tower Master's voice roamed around those pillars, squirming like a tendon beneath a layer of skin. And most of all, how dare you challenge the Tower Master to a duel? Before even reaching the 50th floor. Before even obtaining the name of a constellation. Presumptuous. Seems like a green one. With a sound like a popping balloon, the drowsy air scattered. The Tower Master clapped her hands. So. The Tower Master looked around at the pillars once more and continued. I know there are those among you who think this. Please, don't. The Tower Master's voice was as clear and pure as crystal freshly wrought from the earth. Because, everyone. The kind of arrogant, proud, and bad seed behavior that the Death King is displaying right now, are precisely the actions I myself had been doing until I stood in this position. And it was transparent. Raising a vote of no confidence is not just a simple protest or suggestion. Crying out that what you're doing is fundamentally wrong and can't be resolved by making small adjustments. This very act is what I did in all sorts of ways before I built the tower, and what made me a top-notch lunatic. The pillars gathered here, of all people, should know that. I know, but... For the first time, someone spoke up. It was the one who wrote the beginning. The Tower Master and the Death King are not the same. The one who wrote the beginning spoke in a quiet but certain voice. The Tower Master didn't just stop at screaming that something was wrong. She proposed a better alternative. She didn't just stop at raising a vote of no confidence. She said she would replace, and then did so. The one who wrote the beginning looked at me. His eyes were without warmth. Pointing fingers is easy. Criticizing is not hard. Saying something is wrong is convenient. Mocking is fun, and condemning is always a pleasure. And many people just stop there. They don't try to go further. They neither propose a concrete alternative nor say they will do better, nor do they want to take on the responsibility that comes with it. I understand and accept, but well. Wouldn't it be natural to view that as an unfair attitude? That's an unfair statement towards the Death King. The Tower Master immediately said. The one who wrote the beginning hesitated. The Tower Master looked at him, resting her chin on her hand. Everyone here knows the journey the Death King has walked so far. The Death King has collected the endless autumn rain and bloomed peonies in the eternal frost. He melted the plating of hearts, and helped a doll who had lost herself find herself again. And he accepted each criticism and condemnation aimed at himself instead of dodging them. The Tower Master concluded quietly. So, it's unfair to evaluate the Death King like that. I wanted to make that clear. But on the other hand, the Tower Master turned to me. This is also the crux of the issue. Death King. I did not open my mouth. I just listened quietly. The Tower Master continued. Let me remind you of a fact you already know, Death King. Declaring no confidence in someone never ends as a comfortable objection. It means you have to directly replace that someone and take over all the tasks they were responsible for. Yes. Finally, I spoke. Of course. Good. Bang. Once again, the Tower Master clapped her hands. Now that the premise is clear, the next steps are simple. The Tower Master spread her arms. As you've always done, Death King. Prove yourself. 4. The Tower Master declared the rules to us. If the Death King can prove he has the skill and willpower required, the vote of no confidence in the Wand of Ages will be approved. The Wand of Ages will step down from his position as a pillar. That means, the Death King will take over the role of the Wand of Ages, managing the netherworld of this tower. On the other hand, if he fails, he must be prepared to face the consequences accordingly. The Tower Master did not specify what those consequences would be. She only added with her characteristic smile. At least, it goes without saying that you would no longer be qualified to challenge me. I clenched my fist tightly. 4. The Tower Master declared the rules to us. If the Death King can prove he has the skill and willpower required, the vote of no confidence in the Wand of Ages will be approved. The Wand of Ages will step down from his position as a pillar. That means, the Death King will take over the role of the Wand of Ages, managing the netherworld of this tower. On the other hand, if he fails, he must be prepared to face the consequences accordingly. The Tower Master did not specify what those consequences would be. She only added with her characteristic smile. At least, it goes without saying that you would no longer be qualified to challenge me. I clenched my fist tightly. I understand. Good. The Tower Master's smile deepened. This time, the smile was directed at the wizard. What about you, the Wand of Ages? No problem. the Wand of Ages answered. Like a branch of autumn reaching cautiously to hold onto its red leaves. The pillars, excluding us, sat in a circle at a distance. Though the crowd was smaller, this place was no different from a coliseum. And the stake in this duel was no less significant than in any gladiatorial arena. The current status of the majority vote is announced. Death King 0 votes, Abstain 2 votes, the Wand of Ages 3 votes. As expected, the start was not in my favor. Up to now, I have committed numerous acts of defiance. Even if the Tower Master said to disregard it, it couldn't have been without effect. Furthermore, the Wand of Ages had been a colleague as a pillar for a long time. But looking at it from another perspective, there are still 2 abstentions. That means 2 of the pillars are taking a reserved stance. This situation isn't unpleasant for me. I should start by saying how profoundly disappointed I am with this situation. The wizard was the first to speak. Death King. I have favored you. As an administrator, I've maintained the line while giving you as much consideration as the rules would allow. And this is how my consideration is repaid? I tried to support you, a constellation who appeared after the Sword Emperor. I could have been your patron. Removing me from my pillar position is like cutting off your own fingers. It's not too late. The wizard discussed my interests. He reminded me of what he had done for me and what he could further offer, questioning how much he could help me with his position and power. It was the simplest yet most powerful form of persuasion since the dawn of time. Right. It may have been my mistake to a point.
Yo! So? Ha!
As the judge. Your criticism is valid. I acknowledge it and apologize. But even pillars can make mistakes. To condemn me for a single error, what arrogance is this? Next, the wizard emphasized his humanity. While seemingly taking a step back, he criticized my side for forcing him to do so. This too was an effective attack. The wizard well knew this duel was ultimately decided by majority vote. Persuading me was less important than persuading the pillars. Assuming you managed to pull me down. The wizard sighed lightly and continued. Since the tower was established, there have been many discussions on what to do with the netherworld. And among those, my opinion was accepted, so I took charge of the design from the 70th to the 79th floor. The history of the tower. Don't think this is the first time a vote of no confidence against a pillar has occurred. Since the tower's establishment, many constellations have coveted the position of a pillar. As a pillar in charge of the most sensitive issues, I have faced many attacks. But, despite all, the wizard, who still held his position, lightly bit the end of his staff with his lips. As if holding a pipe in his mouth. In the end, the exact problem that the one who wrote the beginning spoke of blocked them. It's easy to say I'm wrong. Anyone can make a critique. But what about responsibility? Do you have an alternative to replace my heavens? Lastly, the wizard discussed why he must win. It was about him being competent and me being incompetent. Though it was merely a relative issue, it could be decided by majority vote because it was relative. I am making souls happy. It's the happiness they wished for, the happiness they wanted to enjoy, and the happiness I can give. If you cannot give them as much as I do, Death King, you can never defeat me. A logic sharp as a knife cut at me from 3 directions. It wasn't an attack that would end if just one was blocked. All 3 directions had to be deflected before my body could be whole again. Shall we hear the answer? I gently rubbed the handkerchief with my index finger. Right. If you're going to dig someone else's grave, you should smooth out your own grave site first. And I always keep a few graves dug in my heart. You are right in saying you have favored me, Wizard SSI. No rush. Start with the easiest sword to deflect. Did you say I'm the constellation that appeared for the first time since the Sword Emperor? And that you intended to support me? But why did you want to support me in the first place? Surely it wasn't because of personal fondness, just wanting to push me forward for that reason alone. You don't even think highly of the Sword Emperor. You consider him a troublemaker. I saw your reaction after clearing the true heaven world. You, the unparalleled troublemakers of the world. Sword Emperor. There's a reason you failed to conquer the sky-piercing extreme point. It was certainly not a friendly reaction. In other words, you don't blindly support someone just because they're a hunter challenging the 100th floor. You believed I had something unique to offer, didn't you? You must have your hidden reasons. You supported me for a reason. Whether it's related to the Tower Master or the secrets of the 100th floor, I don't know. But you were using me for your own purposes, not for my benefit. Does everyone think of me as materialistic? The wizard's expression remained calm. My words didn't seem to bother or itch him at all. I looked towards Baron Guwon.
Ha!
Death King 0 votes, Abstain 2 votes, the Wand of Ages 3 votes. The vote status was magically inscribed above the Baron's head. There had been no change in the score. I regrouped my stance. No. And I'm not condemning you just because you made a mistake. Regrettably, that's how it appears to me. A mistake is something done wrong unintentionally. But what if it was intentional? What if you knew but neglected it? If you clearly knew it would happen, and it was obvious it would happen, but you merely watched. Is that still a mistake? As if I deliberately chose the wrong judge. Is
Yo. So. Ha!
the first? What? Is
Yo. So. Ha!
really the first and only mistake you've made? For the first time, the wizard hesitated. You decide which heaven layer hunters are assigned to when they die. You judge. And you made a misjudgment thinking.
Yo. So. Ha!
Would want heaven. Luckily, I was able to detect this mistake and point it out. But were other hunters given such an opportunity? No one can notice your mistakes. No one could point them out. So, it seems like the only mistake, merely a mistake. Can you imagine how many mistakes have been hidden all this time? I felt the pillars looking at me. I didn't even need to amplify my senses with aura. Their gazes clung to my face, stinging. But I did not stop. While I was breaking through floors 71 to 76, there were a total of 6 heavens. Out of those 6 times, you made a mistake once. Yes. Maybe this time was just a coincidence. But what if there was a mistake once in every 60 times? Even once in 600 times? If there have always been souls sent to the wrong heavens because of your misjudgments, because of mistakes, what then? Still, would you call that a mistake? Grip. The wizard's grip on his staff tightened. There must be. There are. There will be. But so what? I'm doing my best, Death King. Can you judge better than me? Can you decide who belongs in which heaven, who will be happy where, better than I, the Wand of Ages, can? You can't. It was a question filled with conviction. Up to now, the Wand of Ages must have judged countless souls. Through numerous judgment errors and trials, it would have reached its current state. It must have built up its own experience, know-how, and tips with infinite time and countless tears. I cannot deny that. Yes. I cannot know better than you. But that's just me. So, let's ask directly. What are you talking about? The dead. Those who have died and come before you waiting for judgment. Why not ask them directly? That's the only answer. Hunters came to the tower by their own decision. It's their right to decide where they want to go. If you make judgments on your own without asking them, the same mistakes will inevitably continue. Ask them where they want to go.
Ha!
Ask them, you say? The wizard let out a scoff. Clearly, it was a tone of rebuke towards me. Fine. Go ahead and ask them yourself. If you can ask, that is. Thud. When the wizard tapped the floor with his staff, white ripples appeared in the air. And from beneath the ripples, black fingers emerged. You. It was a human hand. No, to be precise, it was a shadow flickering in the shape of a human. Goo, you.
Grr.
Fingers, palms, wrists, all were dyed in black. There was no light or shadow, only darkness. Black swirling noises were the only things defining their existence. The vast assembly hall was instantly covered with hundreds of noises. Baron Goo 1.
Ha!
Clapped her hands lightly. Clatter, clank, clank. Chains surged from the ground. The chains quickly bound each of the noises. You. Gore.
Grr.
Bound by the chains, the noises growled ferociously. They seemed like they would pounce on us the moment they were released from their chains. Look. This is what you call souls, the words of those who died in the tower. The wizard shouted. Only the emotions from their living days remain, knowing nothing but screams. They are not wounded, they are nothing but rags with nothing left but wounds. These are lives that have ended, broken stones. Essentially, no different from that. Go ahead and ask. Ask for me. Where do they want to go? Having been abandoned by the world once and then again, where do they think they will finally be satisfied? Death King. It would be really nice if you could ask them for me. The wizard seemed to be mocking someone. Not just me, presumably. They have no memory. They're dead. They don't know why they were hurt, but the cause is gone, and only the wounds torment them. No, the torment itself is what they are. The only answer you can get from them is a scream of "it hurts." It may not even be an answer. You can't call the noise made by crumbling rocks an answer. I wonder, what can we ask them? Crackle. From the magical ripples the wizard had spread, a faint image appeared. It was a moving picture. I can only watch. Images played from all around. The abridged lives of the noises before they were consumed by the dark whirlpool. Faces and smiles they had before being devoured by the dark swirl were reenacted in the images. I have to carefully examine and then make a judgment. That's all. Everything. Right. Just watching isn't enough to know. There are times I don't know. But what more can I do? Other than watching, what else can we do here? Indeed. So that was it. I slowly looked around.
Go. Ugh.
You. The noises couldn't meet my eyes. They had no gaze. They could no longer look at or reflect anything. Only deaths that could be looked at from the outside or be broken. Countless deaths. Death. There is. Above all, something familiar to me. There is more we can do here. We still have something more to do. I turned my face to look at the Wand of Ages. What? There is more we can do beyond just watching and observing their lives, Wizard SSI. There still is. What could possibly be left to do? The wizard wore a look of incomprehension. But to me, everything was clear. What I can do. What I want to do. What kind of constellation I could become if I ever became one. Everything suddenly became clear. In the end, a person will act according to what they have always done. With that clarity, I acted. Here. Walking slowly, I stood in front of the dead and spread my arms. Kill me. Before the wizard could understand my words, the dead bit into my neck. You have died. The Wand of Age's eyes widened in shock, reading the situation in slow motion. Before the wizard could fully grasp the meaning of my action, had someone among the pillars understood my intentions? A voice resonated. The current status of the majority vote is announced. Death King 1 vote, Abstain 1 vote, the Wand of Ages 3 votes. And then. Penalty severity is supreme. The human road. Reproducing the trauma of the enemy that killed you. Let's do more than just watch. Chapter 361, The Sky That Gathers Screams, 3. 4. Before the world was completely enveloped in darkness, the last scene that caught my eye was the Wand of Ages, gaping in horror. The wizard must have shouted something. Dash. However, I couldn't comprehend the sound the wizard made. My throat was already torn by the noise, and I hadn't even utilized aura to delay my death. Death came quickly and slowly. You are reproducing the trauma of the enemy that killed you. I couldn't keep up with the rapid changes in the scenery with the speed of my mind. In the irregular rhythm of fast and slow, something got mixed up. Like water and oil. White and black. And if I may say so, it was the soul with the spirit. Like a single snowflake falling on a furnace, my dead spirit gently melted into the body that killed me. You are reproducing the trauma of the enemy that killed you. She was a fisherman born a very long time ago. Therefore, I was a fisherman born a very long time ago. In the repetition of the same words, she was me, and I was her. Just like when I became Raviel. Just like when I became my master. In the midst of the trauma of the human path, I stared at the wine-colored sea. The waves are crying. The waves were rough. I could smell the roughness. The fisherwoman knew that water had a smell. On calm days when the sun was gentle, the water was clean too. But when the waves came rushing from far away, the water sweated. It was a salty smell. When there was a smell of saliva, whirlpools formed in that rapids. It was a rotten smell. And now, the waves were shedding tears. We must escape. The waves are crying. She merely muttered instinctively. It was a time when humans had not yet emerged from the stage of beasts. It was said that in the vast desert to the south, there was a golden temple as high as a mountain. The people living there were all sorcerers and magicians who could imprison all human voices into strange pictures. I knew that the golden temple resembled a pyramid and that the sorcery was writing. She didn't know. In an era when only a tiny fraction of humanity enjoyed the blessing of writing, a woman was sailing, catching fish. We must hurry and escape. Kururur dash. Turning the boat around, the woman looked back. A volcano was erupting in the distance. Hot lava was bubbling at the top of the mountain. Black clouds. Lightning. Mud rain. The volcano roared as if announcing the end of the world. Instinctively, the woman slowed the boat, steering only to places where she could faintly smell the tears of the waves. It took more than half a day to return to the house, the hometown, the seaside village that could have been reached quickly under normal circumstances. The village was gone. Only a few pieces of wood remained floating on the surface of the water. When the waves hit the cliffs, the wood pressed against the rocks gently rocked. There were no survivors. She looked up at the sky. The clouds were hanging low. These were not clouds from the sky. They were clouds that had belched from the ground. The clouds that rose from underground were much darker and had a much stronger body odor than those of the sky. The entire sea was weeping in black. We must escape. She drove the boat. It wasn't just her hometown that had disappeared. The neighboring village. The neighbor's neighbor. The neighbor's neighbor's neighbor. Villages that clung to the coastline like shellfish, barely clinging to a slice of life, were all gone. Did anyone survive? Each vanished village left behind at least one survivor. Just like herself. I survived. The waves are crying. They keep crying. The survivors, just like me, were people who could smell the scent of the waves. She nodded. I know. I can feel the tears of the waves too. Many have died. God is angry. Must we also die? We must escape. Hurry. Hurry and escape. Follow me. Where to? To the largest village. She drove the boat. 1 became 2. 2 became 3, 4, 5, 16. They were all survivors. The 16 survivors signified the death of 16 villages. Only those who were closest to the waves in those villages could survive. Everyone died. There were no survivors in the largest village. None. Nobody. Nothing. She looked back. Before she knew it, the number of boatmen had grown to 30. As they crossed from one village to the next, and to the next after that, the language of the survivors changed from mine. Where do we go now? The first survivor she met had the same voice as hers. She could understand everything. Do we have to die? From the point of crossing 6 villages, the sounds began to diverge. Not everything could be understood. Still, there was no problem in mixing sounds with sounds. T is divine punishment. The wrath of OD. As they passed 12 villages, the sounds wailed bizarrely. Her ears buzzed. It was hard, but if she narrowed her eyebrows and listened carefully, she could understand. Are crying in CT. After passing 24 villages, she could no longer understand the sounds. Nothing could be fully understood. Only the feeling of the tears of the waves. That was the only common ground. She looked up at the sky. For many days now, the world had been dark. It was cold. The fishermen huddled their bodies. They covered their flesh with whatever straw they could gather, but their teeth clacked against each other. Clack, even now, someone's teeth clacked. Clack. Clack. I quietly listened to the sound of the teeth. We must escape. WH2. Somewhere. It was the start of an ice age. The era that had provided mankind with comfortable rain and waves for thousands of years had finally come to an end. The volcano had merely hastened the apocalypse a bit. I knew this through knowledge, and she knew it through instinct. Southwards. Along the coast, southwards. Following the swept-away villages and abandoned ruins, south. How many villages had they passed? Before she knew it, the number of boatmen following her had surpassed 60. They finally succeeded in reaching a surviving village, but she couldn't understand the sounds the villagers were shouting. Not at all. For some reason, the villagers were holding spears. They threw stones. The chests of survivors were pierced by spears they threw, and their heads were smashed by rocks. Splash. Splash. Bodies fell overboard. The man she met in the first village looked this way. Do we have to die? The question she always received. And for the first time, she opened her lips to answer. No. A massacre occurred. The boatmen took up stone knives and killed the villagers. Including her, all the survivors were the most skilled boatmen. Killing people was always easier than rowing boats. What are these people saying? After the fight ended, she called over a survivor from the 48th village to ask. He was a fisherman who had lived in a place relatively close to here. He was still supposed to be able to hear their sounds. It seems like they're saying we're going to receive divine punishment. The 48th survivor translated. He said he wasn't exactly sure. And they called us pirates. Pirates? What does that mean? It seems to refer to people of the sea. From that village onward, the survivors were no longer called fishermen but pirates. The 60 pirates increased to 90. More. Like wreckage of shipwrecks gathering together in waves, like young animals rubbing their skins together on a cold day, all the survivors of the destroyed seaside villages came to her. The world has ended. A boatman filtered the sounds of another boatman. Everyone is dead. Do we also? Do we have to die too? 100 fishermen looked at her. And now she knew what answer she had to give, could give, and wanted to give. It was as clear as the smell of the waves. No. In front of 200 people. No. In front of 300 people. No. She answered the same. We must escape. Follow me. 500 boats followed her. Fights broke out wherever they went. They didn't know why they had to fight. But what they could gain from fighting was clear. In the villages that had not perished, there was grain hidden. There were clothes. There were sharp stone knives. There was just no reason to refuse to fight. Southwards. Following the coast southwards. Sweeping through villages and leaving ruins behind, south. The world was cold. The world was dark. Just as a white seashell clings to the sea cliffs, barely holding on to life by its fingernails, as long as they clung here, the world had not ended. Splash. Below the burning large village, she swung her sword. The people of the large village shed tears. Looking around at the bodies, at those who were not yet corpses but soon would be, she suddenly said. What are these people saying? She called the survivor from the 12th village. The 12th survivor called the 32nd survivor. The 32nd called the 51st, the 51st called the 100th called the 170th, the 170th called the 252nd. Why try to listen to what these people are saying? Eventually, the 581st asked. To exchange one question and one answer with the 581st, dozens of translations were needed. Dozens of people babbled. Like the waves. Like waves, like waves, like waves. Overlapping dozens of times, the fishermen whispered to each other. These people of the large village are sorcerers. She also whispered. They know magic that traps sounds. She picked up a clay tablet and showed it to the fishermen. It had pictures on it. They knew neither how to read nor how to write. But magic is originally like that. With their magic, we too can leave behind our sounds. Why try to leave our sounds behind? Waves are waves only when they crash. Sounds disappear. That is the way of the waves, and we follow the way of the waves. Here is the somewhere we can escape to. She pointed at the clay tablet. Looking each fisherman in the eye, one by one, she spoke. She wanted them to look here, at this place. We must escape. Here. This is where I told you to follow me to. We have arrived. Tell me, Dot. What are these people saying? The wave stopped. I don't know, Dot. The 581st wave said. I don't know, Dot. I don't know what they are saying, Dot. Following that, the 252nd wave said they didn't know. The 170th wave, the 100th wave, the 51st wave, the 32nd wave, the 12th wave, quietly, said they didn't know. Thus, as the waves washed away, they made a sound. No one knows, Dot. The wave came to her feet and lapped for the last time. And then the sound of the wave disappeared. Only the wave was shedding tears. She could smell the tears. Very close by. And she knew why the smell never stopped. Perhaps she knew this would happen. Towards the burning flames, she threw the clay tablet. Where should we go now? I'm sorry, Dot. With a thud. Where should we go? I'm sorry, Dot. The flames grew higher. Where? I'm sorry, Dot. Thud, the fire blazed. Thud. Thud. I'm sorry, Dot. Quietly. Trauma reproduction complete. It has been confirmed that the ego of the targeted subject has been maintained. The penalty is terminated. 5. I think I heard the sound of the waves from somewhere. What on earth are you thinking? I staggered to my feet. The procedure to regress 24 hours earlier did not activate. This place is the first underground floor. Did they say the flow of time here is different from other floors? Or did the administrators, the pillars, arbitrarily apply a break to the skill? Given that Foxnim is not by my side right now, has my timeline lost its absolute priority? Either way, it doesn't matter. Grr. There is noise before my eyes. There was a life that had turned into noise. Something that could no longer make any sound, just growling. What it used to be. Clank. It struggled as if it was going to charge at me any moment, chained in iron. So, by using trauma, you can live the life of the dead? And so, you can make a more accurate judgment than me, who can only watch. Is that your answer?
Ha!
I drew my sword.
Yeah.
Maybe. But didn't you argue that you have to ask the soul directly? Even if you see the trauma, no matter how close you get, it's not like the soul is directly speaking, ... And then, I cut through the noise. What? The wizard had no time to intervene. My sword cut through the noise. The noise didn't scream, maybe because it was already screaming, and was easily sliced. The noise dissipated like ash. What now? What did you do? Card open. Activating skill. It was the gold I had gained earlier. Plus. 100 Ghosts Reincarnation. Rank, SSS. Effect, you summon those you have directly killed. The deceased do not inherit their abilities from their lifetime. However, if you wish, the deceased can inherit their memories and appearance from their lifetime. If you do not wish, they are simply summoned as monsters. I lived a life of noise. Thus, I identified the coordinates of the noise. I became the noise that turned into a scream. By doing so, I became able to summon the noise. Therefore, 100 Ghosts Reincarnation is activated. All conditions have been met. The ash that disappeared into the air, from the bottom, turned back into black ash water and rose up. The black water gradually took shape. Eyes I know, a face I know. With a gesture that was once mine. The one with blue eyes, resembling the sea, blinked, looking at me. Silence surrounded us. The Wand of Ages was silently looking this way, his mouth closed. The other pillars also did not speak. In this moment, the only beings permitted to speak were just me and her. She opened her mouth. "Who are you?" "Somewhere." I think I heard the sound of the waves. "Hello," I said. Not in the first language I learned when I was born, not in the language automatically translated by the tower, but in the sounds I learned through her life, through her ears and mouth. Rough and unrefined. Carrying the scent of the sea. As if it briefly rushed from the distant sea, crashed against the cliffs, and disappeared white, utterly white. In the sound of the waves. I could say her name. The first wave. And what I could become for her. I am your last wave. I will become somewhere for you. Chapter 362, The Sky That Gathers Screams, 4. The last wave? Yes. What does the last wave mean? She looked at me. Her eyes were a clear blue, not the eyes of a modern person but closer to those of a beast. Eyes that barely distinguished between human and beast, eyes that made no distinction between humans and the sea. I said, "I can understand all of your sounds. From the second wave to the 581st wave, all of it. The sounds you make, I can hear them." It meant I can interpret all the languages of the warriors you command. Yes. I could have said that. But I spoke with her sounds. I wanted to speak. Like a village that had been destroyed long ago, swept away by a tsunami without leaving even ruins behind, with pronunciations and words that left no trace or footprint. I reminisced about destruction and now spoke with a sound that only two people in the world could exchange. You don't have to wander in search of a village. You don't have to go to a big village. I am your last wave, and this is the last village in the world. She looked at me. Her clear blue eyes were without even a ripple. Suspicion, doubt, astonishment, panic, a person's emotions are usually imprinted in their eyes like fingerprints. Her eyes had no fingerprints. "Are you a god?" "I want to be your god." From a short distance away, the sound of the Wand of Ages taking a breath could be heard. But she did not look away. I, too, did not avert my gaze from her eyes. "Tell me your wish." "Wish?" "Yes. You can go anywhere." "To which village do you want to go?" "This is a very big village. All the villages are here. I will take you to the place you wish to go." She blinked. Once. Twice. Thrice. Like waves that rush to the shore and then recede, her eyelids fluttered. "Teach me the spell to trap sounds." "Yes." I turned my head. "Could you bring me some ink?" The Wand of Ages bit his lip. A wizard who was proficient in all spells, the greatest magician in the tower, had his eyebrows trembling. The one who brought the ink bottle instead of such a magician was the lady who walks the mirage. "Here." "Thank you." "But why ink?" "Death King." The lady carefully looked up at my face. "Wouldn't it be more convenient to bring paper and a pen?" "It would be unfamiliar to you. Someone who has never held something like a pencil before will find it hard to write. But if you write with your bare hands, you will quickly get used to it. That's why it's easier to just dip your fingertips in ink and write on the ground." The lady listened to all my words. Slowly, after listening, she nodded once. "That's right." Again. "That makes sense." Her voice echoed softly. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 2 votes, Abstain 0 votes, the Wand of Ages 3 votes. I think I heard the sound of waves from somewhere. "What is this?" "Ink." It's black water. Does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. I will teach you the spell with this. I crouched down on the floor. She also hunched down. The pillars surrounded us and watched silently. We did not pay attention to them, making the white stone floor our own canvas. Vowels like that of English but of Korean alphabet. With this, you can trap sounds. I wrote on the floor. The tip of my finger turned black. A black line was drawn on the floor. Watching the sight of black waves drawn on the white sea, she looked down clearly. You try it too. Yes. Yes. Her fingertip turned black. Half a day passed. A day passed. A whole day passed. Her nails turned black, her fingers turned black, and her palms turned black. Lines were drawn on the floor, and in the white sea, endless black waves crashed. The pillars watched us without moving. The conference hall was spacious. The canvas was almost infinite. Crouched down, we slowly changed positions, expanding the black waves by a palm's width. Every wave she drew in the sea had fingerprints standing out. 3 days passed. Maybe 4. In the depths of the underground where time was meaningless, only the expanding sea marks around us proved our time. If you looked closely, were all wooden planks. Shipwrecked pieces drifted back and forth in the sea. She was writing characters. Splash. She knew the waterways of the Black Sea, so with a splash, splash, she rode with her fingers. Do you understand now? Yes. So, I am listening to the sound of the waves. I understand. I asked the lady to get me a clay tablet, whose surface was soft as it had not yet hardened. Looking at the clay tablet in front of her, she blinked. That was her tension. This was her somewhere. Her homeland had sunk into the sea, many villages had submerged, and it was the island she had gone searching for. Facing the small island, she rode. I love the sea. A wave crashed. We love the sea. A ripple surged. Because the waves shed tears. Fingerprints. We also shed tears. Gradually. Still, I love the sea. Blue eyes looked up at me. Am I dead? I nodded, letting her know she had arrived at the island village. Yes. Do you want to live? People. She said. I have killed many people. I can't live anymore. Too many people have died. I'm sorry. I can't live any longer. She looked at me. Waves crashed in her sea-like eyes. Thank you. I think I heard the sound of waves from somewhere. Thank you. You are seeking a follower. The first wave will become your follower. And then. The wave calmed down. Only black letters remained on the floor. Among the shipwrecked pieces, the first wave subsided. Like her departed homeland, the person who fell into the sea disappeared by sinking. For the first time, she could stop breathing in the sea she loved. The pillars said nothing. Why? Only after a long while, maybe just for a brief moment, the wand of ages opened her lips and let out a voice between his clenched teeth. Why didn't you assign her to a heaven floor? I don't assign. I only listen to where she wanted to go. Heaven is a place one wishes to go. The wave to the island she wanted to go to. I held the clay tablet with both hands. The place that became someone's small island, I tightly embraced it. And wrapped it with aura. Before my water overflowed and soaked the fine beaches of the island village. So that people do not burn people. If I am a flame, may I be a flame that burns only for the voices of people. So, it's done. The Wand of Ages bit his lip. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 2 votes, Abstain 1 vote, the Wand of Ages 2 votes. There was still much noise. Hundreds. The noises summoned by the wizard filled the vast conference hall. I gave my body to each of those people remaining as noise. The noises gnawed at my life. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 2 votes, Abstain 2 votes, the Wand of Ages 1 vote. They gnawed at my life, and I reaped theirs, summoning their lives here just as I did for the first wave. And then I spoke. Where is this? Where am I exactly? Someone panicked. It was a merchant who had lived his life selling furs. He died from an attack by a nomadic tribe while on a trade route. The merchant felt wronged. He was willing to pay the price for his life. His life being taken meant nothing to the nomadic tribe. But those fools didn't understand even this simple logic. Why a sword instead of money? Why not trade with him? Why is the world so cruel? Who are you? Someone was wary. It was a holy knight who had spent his life on battlefields. He died hoping for a god to appear until the very end. The knight cried out. If there were a god in this world, it would descend in the most terrible and miserable places. He only roamed the most horrific and miserable battlefields, believing that someday, if a god did not appear, he would go to an even more terrible place, and then to the hell of hells, believing that eventually, they would appear. Is it still not enough? Is it still not tragic enough for a god to reach out? Why can't the world be saved? I don't want to die. Please. Save me. I can't die yet. Someone begged. Many people did. Those who died of starvation due to drought, those who suffocated from fires, those who switched their children with others in the village to eat human flesh during consecutive years of famine and ended up setting the village on fire, only to be axed by a villager, those who were suddenly strangled upon waking to find a neighbor looking down at them. Why? And people silenced their voices. Why is the world so? It's okay. To those who had an island they wanted to go to, I said so. If you want to leave the world behind, it's okay to do so. It really was okay. You can go to another world that you don't have to leave behind. I asked them directly. Where do you want to go? The merchant wanted to go to Gold Heaven. He wished to breathe in a world bright with gold, not under the irrational shadow of foolish blades. The knight wanted to go to Sound Heaven. He believed that if everything from a handful of wheat grains to a bundle of leaves sings, then everything must have a god. He cried saying he wanted to laugh in a world where he does not have to search for God. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 3 votes, Abstain 1 vote, the Wand of Ages 1 vote. As the last procedure, I activate the skill. I shared my gold with them. Plus. Earthbone Dragon's Skull. Rank SSS Plus. Effect, preserves the memories of the living. Preserved memories are kept in a box. This box can only be destroyed by the owner of this skill. As long as the box is not destroyed, you can produce the body of a person with the same memories any number of times. The body can wander the world, accumulating new memories, and these experiences can be updated back into the box, of course, if you permit. Even if the body of the person is destroyed, the box remains unharmed. Bestow the privilege of immortality to those around you. Plus. This was how I revived the 100 ghosts. Just as I breathed life into Sylvia Evanale and Estelle, the 4 demon lords, the children of infernal heavens, and
Yo! So? Ha!
the Earth Dragon's box is activated. The Earth Dragon's box is completed. I provided bodies for the noises that had become my 100 ghosts. You have now chosen a world to live in. The Returner's Clockwork Watch. I lived through their traumas and collected their memories. 100 Ghosts Reincarnation. I gathered their memories and summoned them. Earthbone Dragon's Skull. I gave them memories and bodies if they wished. It's because you wanted to live that you have become part of the world. The conference hall was quiet. There were no more growling noises. Hundreds of gazes, hundreds of breaths were looking at me. Looking around at those looking at me, I too looked back and said, "Please live in a world you can love. If you want to abandon it, please tell me. I will listen. If you want to go somewhere, tell me. I will listen. But now, everything you've chosen, every word, every contempt, and every love is yours. Take life. Take responsibility for what you have loved. Then, I will take responsibility for the inevitable deaths." I said. "I wish you all the best of luck." A white light enveloped them. Everyone had departed for the islands they wished to go to. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 4 votes, Abstain 1 vote, the Wand of Ages 0 votes. The conference hall became silent. The Wand of Ages hung his head. He did not lift his bowed head. The pillars quietly, without a word, turned their gaze to their master. Thud. The tower master stood up and walked towards me. Kim Gongja SSI. The tower master took my left hand and caressed the back of it. Death King. Yes. You will gain authority. You will be able to bestow blessings. Undeniably, you will become a complete constellation. Purple eyes looked up at me. From this moment, you will be known as the sky that gathers screams. A voice was heard. Announcing the results of the majority vote. Death King 5 votes, Abstain 0 votes, the Wand of Ages 0 votes. Lord of Mansing blesses the sky that gathers screams. From now on, that was my name. Chapter 363, The Sky That Gathers Screams, 5. 6. The duel had ended. The Wand of Ages was defeated, and I had won. It was a unanimous decision, so all that was left was the aftermath. Death King. No. Do you plan to establish the sky that gathers screams as a new pillar, Duke? Baron Gu 1.
Ha!
Asked. However, the tower master lightly shook her head. No. Screaming Sky currently does not wish to become a pillar. Screaming Sky? I tilted my head in confusion. Are you referring to me? Yes. The sky that gathers screams is a bit long, isn't it? Since it's about screams, thus Screaming Sky. Collecting people's memories means collecting their names, so Screaming Sky. Giving back their lives after living through their lifetimes makes it Screaming Sky. Lastly, the heaven that rules the underworld, the dark sky of the netherworld, is also Screaming Sky. You're good at naming. I've had many children. It was a necessary skill. For some reason, there was a moment when it was not the tower master but the princess who proudly puffed out her chest. So, do you wish to become a pillar right now, Screaming Sky? I looked around. If I become a pillar now, that means your ascent will end here. The tower master continued. While a constellation controls one floor, a pillar manages the entire tower. Just as it's not an achievement for a constellation to frolic within the floor it governs, it makes no sense for one who has become a pillar to ascend the tower. I thought deeply. And then I answered. For now, I want to reach the 100th floor. That response seemed unexpectedly to the pillars. But the tower master nodded as if she had guessed I would say so. Yes. Then, for now, let's conclude with you becoming a full constellation. Kim Screaming Sky SSI. I don't quite like being renamed like that. Kim Stupid SSI. Edie, the name given to Kim Gongja is now Screaming Sky, which is Myeongkian, but the Korean word for stupid is also similar, Myeongching, as you can see from the romanization, with only a difference of Y and E, so, from pronunciation, it might sound as if calling him stupid. That's too much. You just wanted to call me that, so you laid out all those plausible reasons and named me. To truly become a constellation, there are conditions. Conditions. It's more of a procedure, really. Once you complete this procedure, you can finally bestow blessings upon your followers. What is it? Once you are completed as a constellation, you can never erase a skill again. Let's see. The Tower Master snapped her fingers. Then, slowly, rectangular shapes began to appear in the air and floated leisurely. Golden, silver, and copper-stained, they were none other than my skill cards. I want to become just like you, S+, Returner's Clockwork Watch, EX, Sword Constellation, A+, 100 Ghosts Reincarnation, SSS, Goblin High Society, F, Infernal Heavens Demonic Art, A+, Salvation of a Torn Goddess, A+, Infernal Heavens Formation, S, The Earthbone Dragon's Skull, SSS+. The Tower Master looked at me with disbelief. Really? You only have the cream of the crop. Don't you think your conscience has left on a trip when you look at it yourself? To say I only have the best ones, Goblin High Society, F, is there too? What are you talking about? That's precisely your identity. Even if you give up all other cards, you must protect Goblin High at all costs. You truly have high standards. Indeed, this Tower Master gets it. So, I'll give you an opportunity, Screaming Sky. An opportunity, you say? It's simple. Previously, Screaming Sky upgraded Summoning of 100 Ghosts, SS, to 100 Ghosts Reincarnation, SSS, as a reward for clearing floors 11 to 19, right? The same reward. In other words, the opportunity to consolidate and eliminate your skills. A complete consolidation and elimination of skills. When a baron becomes a duke, he organizes his titles and fiefs once. It's like consolidating all the scattered territories into one duchy, you might say? Tidying up ownerships along the way. The Tower Master, who was also a noble of a certain kingdom, brought out an analogy that was quite aristocratic. Can I manipulate the skills as I wish? Yes. Though, you would have to persuade me. The Tower Master giggled, covering her lower face. Flap. Her long sleeve, unlike any style from Earth, fluttered, and above, her purple eyes were half open. However, this is not a mere reward, Screaming Sky. You know, it's about deciding what kind of constellation you will become. A god must be clear. Intuitive. Because a god is a helper, and only when it's clear who can be helped, the followers will seek help. Look at Musha. I can regress your life. How clear is that? On the other hand, Tao Tai was unclear about what kind of constellation it was. Indeed. Is the power of a constellation in the intuitiveness of its ability? Yes, yes. Exactly. In short, have a good set of skills. Simple, isn't it? I rested my chin on my hand and looked down. Engulfed in thought. What can I do for people? In other words, what is my power? For whom can I be beneficial? In other words, what is my domain? What do I need to remain as myself? In other words, what is my support? The contemplation was long. I came up with answers on my own. Then, suddenly, I realized that the Tower Master was quietly watching me, waiting. I could have left the work to Baron Gu1.
Ha!
And left. The duel was over, and this was just a matter of wrapping things up. Why did she stay? Of course, the Tower Master was showing me favor. She might prefer to personally give me the reward rather than delegate the task to a subordinate. But I arrived at a different interpretation. I can ask you. I can seek and listen to your advice on what would be the best course of action. The Tower Master smiled broadly. Correct. As expected. I felt the pressure in my heart melt away. The Tower Master is the god of this tower. She is the central pillar, the starlight pinned in the highest night sky. If I want to become stronger as a constellation, where else could I find a better advisor? None. Definitely none. This is a fantastic opportunity. The Tower Master was right. She was offering me an opportunity. Not just the chance to consolidate and eliminate skills, but also the opportunity to make use of the Tower Master. It would be truly dumb not to use this chance. Thank you. Don't mention it. Reward and punishment according to deeds. It's the most basic virtue that nobles should possess. Then I'll ask right away. How can you never tire? I could feel the gaze of the pillars that remained in the convention hall on me. Emotions filled their gazes. Since they did not hide them, I could immediately understand the emotion's nature. Jealousy. Envy. The Tower Master was their master. Given the Tower Master's life and character, she was probably the master who monopolized their love. And it's natural psychology to want to monopolize as much as one is monopolized. Now, I'm truly in competition with the pillars. Do they act this way even knowing I'm loyally devoted to Raviel? Probably, yes. Just the fact that I have the Tower Master's time right now makes them envious of me. Not because I've won the Tower Master's favor. But because the Tower Master has given me her favor, they are jealous. From now on, it's highly likely that they will try to prevent me from reaching the 100th floor. They won't cheat. That would be a foolish move that could lose the Tower Master's favor. Fairly, within the rules of the game, they will challenge me. The Wand of Ages has already been defeated. They will never underestimate me. It's going to be a tough fight, and that's why the Tower Master has granted me such an opportunity. To fight well. To cheer up. So, I must make the most of this opportunity now. How do you not get tired? Yes. I haven't tired yet, but it might be different once I become a constellation. I thought of many people. Fox Nim was tired right away. Estelle, whom I met for the first time, was tired because of me. But she was already rotting inside before that. How could it be just them? Most of the constellations I met, including Hamustra, were tired of no one else but themselves. To live long is to endure that. So, I'd like to hear about the Tower Master's case. It's love. The Tower Master answered simply, like a priest revealing the truth. I keep my loved ones around me. No, I make those around me love me. When I'm struggling, my lovers struggle more. When I'm happy, my lovers are happier. Then life becomes enjoyable. Wouldn't that be torturous for your lovers? That would be the case. The Tower Master also affirmed simply. But I can make my lovers the happiest. Only I can give the ultimate happiness to my lovers. When they're hurting, I know better than them why they're hurting. I hurt more. I make them happier. So, even if my lovers suffer because of me, it doesn't matter. After all, there's no one else who can make them happier than I can. With a conviction bordering on madness, the Tower Master spoke. When I feel my lover's pain and happiness, I truly feel alive. Clearly. as if I could grasp it with my hands. How do I not tire? It's simple. As long as I feel the reality of life, I do not tire. Indeed. It wasn't a life I wanted to emulate even if I died, but it was a tactic worth referencing. I made up my mind. Please give me a skill. I might consider revising one, but giving a completely new one is a bit. It's okay. It's not a completely new skill. Rather, it's fair to say I already have it. If that's the case, it's all right. What is it? A regressor's love. The Tower Master's eyes widened. Oh ho. As you know, it's a skill Raviel has. A skill that connects Raviel's and my time. I, too, want to possess the same skill as Raviel. Even if only one side has it, the effect would be the same. I see no reason not to grant it if you really want it, but isn't it a waste? Your skill slots are not exactly plentiful now. Our Tower Master lacks sense. I smiled. A wedding ring is supposed to be possessed by both, isn't it? Please give it to me. Hearing my words, the Tower Master laughed heartily. It seemed the analogy of the wedding ring made her burst into laughter. Embroidering the air with a laughter that sounded like ripping silk, the Tower Master tapped the void. Supreme love and pure longing. The Lord of Mansing acknowledges your love and gifts you a skill. A golden card appeared before my eyes. Plus. A regressor's love. Rank EX. Effect, to a regressor, love is like poison. No matter how much they struggle, they cannot share time with the one they love. Thus, a certain regressor wished, please protect my lover's memory. That wish reached the tower and was fulfilled. You share a timeline with your loving partner. If your lover goes back a day, you also go back a day. If you go back a day, your lover also goes back a day. This is the oath of the ring. This is the marriage of time. May luck be with both of you. Note, activates only when you and your lover love each other. Plus. The same thing Raviel has. If I am a constellation, the star that would shine the brightest first. All right. Shall I be generous? I'll throw in a service as well, screaming sky. Sararak dash. A golden card descended onto the back of my hand and melted. Literally melted away. As the card disappeared, it infused into my left ring finger with a golden glow. Naturally, the wedding ring I matched with Raviel was worn on my ring finger. I've linked the wedding ring with a regressor's love. As long as the skill card is not torn, the wedding ring will not be destroyed either. Oh. But now that screaming sky is a complete constellation, you can't remove a skill card, right? It's essentially an equipment item with an indestructible option. Yes. Now it truly has become a real wedding ring. Congratulations. The Tower Master beamed with a smile. The gaze from the pillars around us became fiercer, but neither of us cared. Of course, there's a difference. I think it's something I have to bear anyway, and the Tower Master is deliberately ignoring it. And? What other skill do you want to revise? Please remove the penalty option attached to 100 Ghosts Reincarnation. I immediately requested. Being able to use the skill only once a week is too harsh. Sure, it would be a broken skill if I summoned hundreds of ghosts for a group attack, but I don't do that. I just want to give back the memories to the lives I've collected. Please remove the penalty. Well. You have a point. And there are 3, 4, 5 points. A duck? Quack quack. After exchanging the world's most idiotic Q&A, the Tower Master granted my request. Skill revision. The penalty of 100 Ghosts reincarnation is removed. 100 Ghosts reincarnation SSS transforms into 100 Ghosts reincarnation SSS+. Again? You should assume that such opportunities won't come again. Don't lament later and speak up everything now. Please revise Salvation of a Torn Goddess. It's not about a torn goddess anymore, right? It's Goddess of Protection. It's only right that you allow me to fully use the power of Shiny. That makes sense. Duck? I think here when MC says duck, the Tower Master needed to make the duck sounds, but Tower Master didn't play along to complete the joke. I don't understand what you mean. Kim Gongja SSI, do you like such jokes? I'm starting to feel embarrassed to be here. Damn it. Skill revision. Salvation of a Torn Goddess is integrated. Salvation of a Torn Goddess, a plus, transforms into Goddess of Protection, S. Goblin High Society is. No. I won't change it. Go back. Skill non-revision. Goblin High Society is preserved. It's preposterous to try and erase it. Fox Nim has sworn to be with me for eternity. If I am clinging to the same timeline as Raviol, Fox Nim is the guardian who ensures that timeline does not break. I wish for Fox Nim's existence to be acknowledged. It shall be as you say. Eternal Alliance of Time. The Lord of Mansing acknowledges your skill. You obtain a music box only for you, EX. What about Hishmith Crits and Musha, Screaming Sky? They were only subjugated under me for a while. They are not allies I will be with eternally. They wouldn't want that from the start. That's a correct and precise judgment. Those subjugated by force, not by heart, will rebel when the power weakens or they find a stronger force. Yes. So, there may be times I borrow their powers, but it's not my power. However, please integrate Infernal Heaven's Demonic Art and Infernal Heaven's Formation. I spoke emphatically. Both skills simply depict the sky of Infernal Heavens. That too is a valid point. The Tower Master nodded. I'll name it Infernal Heavens. Skill revision. Infernal Heaven's Demonic Art, A+, and Infernal Heaven's Formation, S, are integrated. The two skills integrate into Infernal Heavens, SSS. And so, my skill set was completed. Plus. Name, Kim Gongja. Rank, S-Class. Skills, 10 out of 10. 1. A Regressor's Love, EX. 2. Returner's Clockwork Watch, EX. 3. I Want to Become Just Like You, S+. 4. 100 Ghosts Reincarnation, SSS+. 5. The Earthbone Dragon's Skull, SSS+. 6. Sword Constellation, A+. 7. Goddess of Protection, S. 8. A Music Box Only for You, EX. 9. Goblin High Society, F. 10. Infernal Heavens, SSS. Plus. Skill 1, A Regressor's Love, is the foundation for me to be myself. It's the wick that allows a candle to continue burning as a candle. Skills 2, Returner's Clockwork Watch, to 5, the Earthbone Dragon's Skull, are my powers. They allow me to see someone's trauma, summon ghosts, and create a body for them. Skills 6, Sword Constellation, to 8, A Music Box Only for You, are my allies. We are bound not just by presence, but at the soul level. Skill 9, Goblin High Society, is. Goblin High Society. Does it need an explanation? Skill 10, Infernal Heavens, is my force. My sword. My source. It's the handle I grab to not be devoured by this world, and the blade I swing to cut through this world. Kim Gongja SSI. After all work was completed, the tower master quietly looked up at me. Just nod, and the process to complete you as a constellation will be finished. Yes. You won't be able to erase skills anymore. Yes. You won't be able to die. Up until now, you could have torn Returner's clockwork watch whenever you wanted if you desired. You could have returned to a life that ends with death. But once you nod, you can never go back to how you were before. Indeed. Not being able to tear the skill means just that. Even if you die, you'll only go back a day. Even if you die over and over, wishing to return as a child, the skill only works within the world inside the tower. You can't go back to the past before you set foot in the tower. You can't return to the outside world. Let me ask you one last time, said the tower master. Do you truly accept eternity? Yes. Knowing the weight of those words, I nodded. I've walked this far only to bear that weight. I will remain as the sky for those who eternally scream. And the tower master, having walked this far only to deliver this message to someone, spoke. May luck be with you. Tick. Time that had stopped began to flow again. Stage 76 has been cleared. Stage 77 has been cleared. Stage 78 has been cleared. Stage 79 has been cleared. With the defeat of the Wand of Ages, all the stages he managed were instantly cleared. What would have happened to
Yo! So? Ha!
Who had been officiating? Perhaps I'll find out about that soon too. Light leaked out from beneath my feet, quickly obscuring my view. Your level grows. Your skill slot expands. And then, your rank is now SSS class. You are the sky that gathers screams. Pot. As I was declared an SSS class hunter, I was engulfed in white light,